Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Joliet Junior College. We're happy to host this incredible group and happy to celebrate with you all today. Here at Joliet Junior College, the nation's very first community college. The college remains a proud partner of the state of Illinois and the visionary leadership of Governor Pritzker and the Rebuild Illinois Capital Campaign, of which the reconstruction and improvements of Interstate 80 is a big part. Now, as an institution that serves thousands of students and hundreds of thousands of individuals across our vast service region, this investment in making our roadways safer and more accessible while positioning our region for long-term economic prosperity is something we're thrilled to celebrate with you all today. Now, we're especially excited about the new interchange at Hubolt Road, which just opened this weekend, and I believe the technical term is super cool. And with that, it is my great pleasure to welcome to the podium the honorary JJC Wolf himself, Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Mr. President. I'm a little shorter than you, so I'm going to take the privilege here. Thanks so much for your kind words and also for hosting us, as you often have done at this terrific campus. The work that you're doing is so important to the future of our state. I want to offer my appreciation, of course, to our local and legislative partners who've joined us today. I won't name them all, but they really are, you really are, the folks who have helped us to make progress that we're celebrating today. I-80 is the second longest freeway in the nation, and for half a century, it's been the centerpiece of the Chicago region's transportation and logistics hub. And the millions of cars and trucks that have traveled this storied highway have taken their toll on it. Illinoisans deserve infrastructure that's built for the modern era, with the highest standards of safety and reliability and a little less congestion and frustration. That's why the General Assembly and I dedicated $1.3 billion of our transportation modernization plan called Rebuild Illinois, the single largest allocation to any project from Rebuild Illinois, to the rebuilding and restoration of I-80 through Will, Grundy, and Kendall counties. And even with the unprecedented challenges of the last few years, we're well on our way to finishing I-80 and a project that should be done in a way that our residents truly deserve. By early December, the Shepley Road Bridge and the Wheeler Avenue Bridge over I-80 will be reopened to travel with wider, safer lanes for cars and new pedestrian and bicyclist accommodations, and a wider footprint for the improvement still to come on the expressway. The Hubolt Road interchange, which serves the largest inland port in North America, reopened over the weekend in a new diverging diamond. This marks the substantial completion of a combined over $200 million project with Centerpoint Properties, the city of Joliet, and Will County to improve access to North America's largest inland port, opening up new economic development opportunities for the Joliet region. And I just want to be clear that the thanks here go to a whole big bunch of people, but I'll just quickly mention, of course, our Will County executive, Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant, Joliet Mayor Terry Darcy, and our community partners who all together have really made this possible. On the west end of the project, between River and Ridge Roads, temporary widening of the interstate to accommodate the work zone during the upcoming years of construction will be completed this month as well. And in 2024, we'll see other portions of the I-80 project throughout the region, like bridge replacements at Briggs Street and the ongoing replacements just east of the Des Plaines River at Richard Street. Hickory Creek and Rowell Avenue, as well as new developments, including the Seminole Mainline construction anticipated to be completed in late 2026. Almost 12 miles of I-80 will be undergoing improvements next spring, signaling the biggest step forward for a project that's been decades in the making. And after that, the interchanges at Center and Chicago Streets, as well as the big bridges over the Des Plaines River, will be the final pieces of this puzzle to complete. From Minooka to Joliet, this rebuild is transforming 16 miles of I-80, redesigning auxiliary lanes and exchanges, and rehabilitating over 30 bridges along this route. That is what has made this a complex endeavor. But IDOT has done a tremendous job of organizing, and of course the construction companies and workers have really implemented to make this successful. Over the next few years, replacing this infrastructure will increase I-80's ability to support travel demand and reduce congestion. New shoulders will reduce the traffic impact of an accident or a car pulling over. 8 miles of noise walls will help keep surrounding communities and neighborhoods insulated from loud traffic. And new pedestrian and bicyclist paths will keep communities safer and better connected. These improvements will not only make it safer for commercial drivers, but for thousands of families, tens of thousands of families who rely upon I-80 to commute to work, drive their kids to school, move safely through their daily lives. And none of this would be possible without the hardworking men and women of organized labor who helped make these projects a reality, as well as the highway construction careers that are made possible for students at South Suburban who will someday take up the mantle of projects like this, and this one indeed. Let's give all of them, all the hard workers that have made this possible, a big round of applause. So our success here is being replicated all across the state of Illinois, from Cairo to Lake County. For the first time, Illinois is modernizing all modes of transportation: roads and bridges, transit, waterways, freight and passenger rail, aviation, and of course, bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. For the first time, we're merging history and legacy with an eye toward the future. And with it, we're signaling a new day for Illinois' residents, creating jobs, shaping vibrant communities, and connecting every corner of our state. With that, I'm very proud to turn it over to our great Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Omer Osman. Omer?
Thank you, Governor. You are always kind to me. I got to take this down a notch one more time. But good morning. Good morning. It's great to be back in Joliet and Will County, and obviously along I-80. Thank you to the entire highway team at the Illinois Department of Transportation, led by our Chief Engineer, Steve Travia, and the Regional Engineer, Jose Rios, and his entire staff, and some of the highway maintainers who are standing behind us. I want to thank you personally for your dedication and for your hard work. I would like to give a shout out to all of our partners, elected officials, our hosts here at Joliet Junior College, and to you, Mr. President, thank you. And of course, to our good Governor, Pritzker, for their effort to make this day possible. Over the last few days, we worked with our friends in Joliet to open the new cool, right? Super cool Hopewell Road interchange, a project made possible by some $32 million investment by the state of Illinois. And I was reminded that Hopewell Road is named after a Mr. John Hopewell, a Joliet native who happened to be a civil engineer, just like yours truly. We engineers like to take credit for a lot of things, and we do get some big stuff done. Mr. Hopewell is famously credited with putting a man on the moon. While what we are doing here might be just a little bit smaller in scale, it is going to make a big, big difference for this area for a long time to come. These I-80 improvements highlighted by the governor are going to positively impact safety, quality of life, and reliability for a generation. Since day one, IDOT under Governor Pritzker has made fixing I-80 a top priority. The year 2024 is going to be the turning point. 75% of the project corridor will be under construction. That is the 12 mile the governor talked about out of the 16 total we have. With the section that include bridges over the Des Plaines River among the final pieces remaining in a very large puzzle. We have been completing the necessary advanced work up until now, with the dividends starting to pay off in just a few weeks and months. I ask the public, we ask the public to please continue to be patient. This area will continue to be an active work zone for the next few years. Please slow down when you see workers and equipment. Stay patient, put down the device, and please pardon our dust while we continue to rebuild Illinois. Thank you for having us. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you a true champion of infrastructure, Leader Manley. Leader.
Good morning, everybody. Great advice there, Secretary Osmond. Putting down the devices, being patient. I have represented people along the Weber Road corridor close to I-55, and they would say to me a few years ago, this is going to take forever. And I said, in a blink of an eye, as quickly as time passes, it'll be done. And now it's done. So, I-80 rebuild. Wow, this is so long overdue. I-80 being the second longest freeway in the nation and a key component of Illinois transportation. Thanks to Governor Pritzker, who is about to be able to take his mail in Will County, I think, because he comes here so often. I would love that to happen. Thank you for your vision, for recognizing that this part of the country, as it was stated earlier, the largest inland port in North America, needs to be invested in. $1.3 billion in the restoration of I-80 from Ridge Road to Lincoln Highway, vastly improving travel between 3 counties. I-80 was built over 50 years ago, and it's certainly outlived its design. And that's why we're working to ensure that Illinoisans have safe, reliable, and efficient transportation they deserve, reducing traffic congestion, improving travel time, and meeting the overall travel demand. And I want to emphasize the safety component. The multi-year project includes pavement reconstruction throughout a 16-mile corridor, the addition of auxiliary lanes and improved interchanges, over 30 bridge rehabilitations, enhanced pedestrian paths and bicycle lanes, and 8 miles of noise walls. This project is what Rebuild Illinois is all about. Actually, it's what the Pritzker administration is all about, making the daily lives of Illinoisans better and building the best infrastructure in the nation. Thank you to Governor Pritzker for you all being here. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the one and the only, she hates when I do this, former Senator Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant now is our Will County Executive, and we are glad to have her. Will County Executive Bertino-Tarrant.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little adjusting here because Natalie, you and I have the exact same talking points, so we don't need to repeat some of the things that have been said. But I too want to thank our good president here for allowing us to have here. Of course, I want to thank Governor Pritzker, our legislators, for the investment in Rebuild Illinois, $1.3 billion, which is our I-80 project. We here in Illinois and in Will County are working for a safe, safe transportation system. We know the importance of reducing congestion. We know the importance of improving our travel time, and we know that we have the demand. And we are so grateful that the focus in Illinois is still on our friends, our Will County residents. Again, we're going to repeat this multi-year program improves 16 miles of corridor. We have auxiliary lanes, improved interchange, over 30 bridges rehabilitated, and also, which is also very important to our transportation, is pedestrian paths and bicycle lanes. 8 miles of noise walls, again, another advantage to our residents. These improvements are going to have real benefits for Will County residents. We are going to create a safer, less congested I-80. This project is what Rebuild Illinois is all about, making the daily lives of Illinois families better and building the best infrastructure in the nation. So again, I want to thank our folks at Illinois, our Secretary of State, of course, Governor Pritzker, our legislators, our friends in labor, and to the residents who are patient. And I'm going to also stress what Secretary Osmond said is, please be careful on the roads. We are hitting peak season here with our change of weather, and we will still have construction out there. So please take care of our men and women in labor so they can go home safely. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our Joliet mayor, a man who knows the importance of investing in his community, Mayor Terry Darcy.
Thank you. I think they all read my talking points. They all said the same thing I was going to say. My mom always said, you know, Terry, when you get up there to talk, be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. So thank you for all the comments. And thank you, Jennifer, for the introduction. And I'd like to also extend my gratitude to Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Transportation Secretary Osmond for joining us today as we celebrate the significant progress we've made on I-80. I'd like to also take a moment to recognize several local leaders who are here today. Dr. Klein Numo, State Representative Natalie Manley, dear friend and County Executive Jennifer Bertino Tarrant, Shanahan Mayor Missy Schumacher, I'm not sure she's here, but there are several members of municipal and state legislators that are with us today, and we thank them all for coming out. I consider myself fortunate to serve as mayor of Joliet for several compelling reasons. First, Joliet stands as a distinctive city strategically located at the crossroads of America where I-80 and I-55 intersect. Secondly, we are proud to host the nation's largest inland port. Therefore, the development within Joliet and Will County holds significant importance for the nearly 700,000 residents who call this region home. Furthermore, every day a multitude of vehicles pass through our city, invigorating our local economy due to convenient access from I-80. I-80, one of the nation's most crucial highways, and I'm informed it ranks second largest freeway in the nation. I might not be right on that. But I commend Governor Pritzker for his extreme leadership, exemplary in his visionary commitment to addressing the critical and imperative investing in our roads and infrastructure, particularly focusing on I-80 through the Rebuild Illinois Capital Program. With that said, I want to say that we have had such a great relationship during my short term as mayor with the folks at IDOT. They have given us a good cadence of how everything's going to run for us. We understand that there's going to be some complications as we do more and more of the road work, but their partnership has been integral in helping us to understand what we have to do to counter some of the changes that are going to happen during the rebuild program. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, and I'd like to hand the mic back to the governor for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media. Jeremy.
2018, a penalty enhancement law went into effect that raised minimum prison sentences for people repeatedly arrested for some fairly common legal gun possession. A top Chicago police official around that time said he believed the law would cut gun violence in Chicago in half, and it has not. Now the law is set to expire at the end of this year. There's a bill out there to extend this penalty enhancement another year. Would you support it?
I'll look at it, study it. I think, whatever estimates were made about the impact on crime, I don't think took into account that we would go through a deadly global pandemic, and that, part of the increase in crime that's taken place in the city of Chicago and elsewhere is due to that. So, just to alleviate anyway the idea that someone, didn't tell the truth or overestimated, you just don't know that you're going to run into a problem like we have had. So having said that, I'll take a look at it, and I really haven't studied the bill yet.
Okay. Last week, a bill was filed to extend the Invest in Kids program through 2028. It would also reduce maximum annual contributions awarded by the state to $50 million instead of $75 million like the program is currently. 75% tax credit would be reduced, except in cases where donors contribute up to $5,000. And the annual limit on tax credits of $1 million would be reduced to $500,000. What do you think of this proposal? Have you reviewed it?
Again, the legislature is going to make a decision about that, I suppose, next week. I've always said, that, we're not trying to prevent people from going to private school, but I also believe in public education and want to make sure that we're funding public education to the extent that that is possible. And I have, as you may know, since I've taken office, insisted upon putting in, and the General Assembly supported more than $2 billion more into our public education system, which has made significant improvements. A lot of that money goes to districts that have been left out and left behind, which people who are supporting that bill say that they're in favor of. So support for public education is really where my focus is.
One last night, my last question. Last night we had a cold night, a snowy night.
Yeah.
The first of many in Chicago and across Illinois. I know that you've said that your administration has set aside more than $300 million for the effort to help migrants. But there hasn't been any. It looks like there's not going to be a supplemental budget this veto session. Maybe not any money until next year for this effort in the spring. What more can the state government do in the immediate sense to help out?
Well, I think the reporting has not been very good on it, so let me try to correct past reporting. I'm sure you're all appreciative of that. But I will just say that we provide the wraparound services for these folks who are not allowed to work. We are going to have people that have work authorizations going to work soon, but that only covers a certain percentage. A little over half of the folks who have come here will be eligible to work over time as they receive their work authorizations. But there are lots of folks who've arrived here, didn't have any work authorization. They're here legally. I want to be clear with people who call them illegals. These are not, nobody is illegal, by the way, but they're not undocumented. They're here legally. And it is an obligation, I think, in a humanitarian crisis for us to step up and make sure that people aren't starving, or that they have a place to stay, that they get the, basic health care that they need. So the state has been providing most of that. The shelter piece has been the city of Chicago. And we've supported the city of Chicago with direct dollars to do that. We also have spent almost 3 times as much, 2 to 3 times as much as they have, on all the wraparound services, including immigration lawyers, because it's important for us to get them the authorization so they can go to work, so they will no longer need to stay in the places that they're in now. So I'm proud of the work that the state has done to support the city. There doesn't appear to be a supplemental that will go through the legislature this veto session, but the state is going to continue to try to provide the wraparound services through our Department of Human Services.
Because the shelter issue, obviously, I was going to say, appears to be the immediate issue at hand.
100%. And we're doing a lot of things that you all don't see, but I'll just give you an example. I have had numerous conversations with the federal government, both the Department of Homeland Security and the White House, about at the border, making sure that if there is an effort, and there has been, by the governor or various mayors in Texas to load people onto buses to Chicago, that the federal government should at least intervene to communicate with those folks who are being told to get on a bus to Chicago and whatever else they're being told, that we are doing everything we can for the folks who are here, but we do not have enough shelter. With winter coming, it may be advisable, indeed, they should convince them that they maybe shouldn't come to the city of Chicago during the winter, and that there are other places in the country they can go. And the federal government ought to be helping to, manage the logistics so people go to places where they, can survive through the winter in a way that clearly is more difficult if you come to a place like Chicago. And I would say the same about New York and the same about Denver as we hit snow and winter. Any other questions from the media? Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.